Well, shout out to Sheboygan there. Cece, what are your expectations now for Odell as he gets ready to start this next chapter in Cleveland with the Browns?
Well, for one, you know, in seeing Odell go through this transition, because it's very, very hard for young people, and especially in professional sports, when you think it's something else. When him and Jarvis Landry, they spoke it into existence. So they've been talking about playing together since they were kids. But when you get to the NFL, a lot of times it's totally different than what you expect. And Odell's life did change when he got drafted by the Giants. Great organization, very, very respectable in New York City. And they had an iconic quarterback in Giants as far as Eli. What he's going to in Cleveland is totally different. So I like the fact that he's recognizing what he's been through. I like the fact that he's embracing where he is. I like the fact that he realizes it doesn't matter. All NFL cities are very good. And he doesn't have to be in some type of big city. And I like the fact that he's there on the first day. So he's not a distraction, because guys want a new start when they go places, but they still end up doing the same old thing. So if he's not going to participate in the off-season workouts and everything, like, he'd be exactly like he was with the Giants. So I think he's in a great headspace. I think he's, as far as having surrounding people who care about him, in Jarvis, his wide receiver coach, who coached him with the Giants and coached him in college. And I believe that him and Dorsey will have some connection together. That's why he brought him there. So I'm happy for him. I got great expectations for him, but they're no different than what they would have been with the Giants. My expectations is that he understands the magnitude of who he is, where he is, and taking advantage of the time. And I believe that he's going to do that, and all signs point to he understands the whole process, what's happened, and he understands being with the Cleveland Browns and the type of young talent they have surrounding that team.
He did a great job yesterday. He did. He answered those questions the exact way the Browns were hoping he would. He put to rest, at least for now and hopefully permanently, the idea of the wandering eye when he talked about in New York, L.A.,
yes,
places that he has talked about wanting to be in the past, because it was a real question. Like, when you heard Cleveland, what did you think? And he said, I'm here to play football. You mentioned his life changed when he got drafted by the Giants. He communicated to both you and I a couple years ago, his life really changed when he made that catch.
Right.
When the level
and I think
of fame,
a lot of people are taken back, like when he even looked at the audience and said, I'm not here for fame. And it seems like everything he's done, from a branding, how he goes about, how he dances, how he brings a lot of attention to himself. But he was shocked by it.
He was shocked. He was shocked at the way he said members of his family started to treat him differently after that catch. And fame, especially when it hits you in a rush like that, can be intoxicating. And I do think he leaned into it. He leaned into it with his hair and with his dances and those things. But I think he maybe this offseason, because the trade was jarring to him. It was shocking to him, even though he had told you at the Super Bowl he thought it might happen. There was a moment of be careful what you wish for.
And even though he might have wanted to be traded.
Right. That's why I said be careful what you wish for. Like,
yes,
I want to be traded. Wait, now I'm traded. And so the downtime he took, the time away from everyone when he was in Paris, I think was good for him mentally, of saying, okay, did I get too caught up in the brand as opposed to the person and the player? Because who the person and the player is, the player most notably, to answer your question, what are my expectations? That he gets back to being the best wide receiver in football. There's no reason to think he can't be 100 catches, 1,400 yards, double-digit touchdowns. Over the last 2 years, the 2 injured years for him, he's played 16 games. That's a full season. His production in those 2 years is 1,300 yards, 100 catches, 9 touchdowns. He's got a better quarterback. It's his first year coming into a season fully healthy in 3 years, because 2 years ago he got hurt during the preseason, was when he first hurt his ankle. He turns 27 this year. This is supposed to be the beginning of his athletic peak. He is the best quarterback he's ever played with, and the best infrastructure around him from other skill position standpoint he's ever played with. For all those reasons, he should be as dominant as he was in year 3. Or year 2, which is where he really announced himself as one of, if not the best receiver in the league.
I've been down on Odell for a number of years. I don't like all the extra noise. I don't like the antics. I don't like anything other than play football, even though it's great fodder for us to talk about. But Odell had a great offseason. He was quiet. He focused on what he needed to do. He didn't say anything outlandish. He was really, really sort of concentrating on maybe going back to the Giants and doing his thing. And he earned points in my book. But this isn't going to be as easy as we set it up. Like, oh, here's a bunch of talent. Here's Cleveland. Everything's going to work. Are there challenges that lay ahead for him now that he's in Cleveland?
Absolutely. Because with all young players that have had some type of success, it's trying to figure out, okay, now I'm supposed to be as good as I've ever been athletically. And sometimes you don't have the results of that. So for me, the biggest challenge would be to fall back in love with the process. And he loves working out. But one of his big issues with the New York Football Giants was they wouldn't let him compete at practice. So he used to always feel like, man, I don't like going over there to the building. I don't like being there in the offseason. So now he's actually got a guy. And this is one of the things that Randy Moss and I had that was very, very special. If I decided to show up to work and not give my best effort, or if my body didn't feel up to it, I knew they had someone that was better than me. So I knew there was always pressure to be at my best. And if Randy Moss took a day off, if he took a step off, if he took a play off, he knew on the other side there was someone that was going to be able to deliver it. So that yin and yang, every day being in the same room, competing with each other, but pulling for each other, I believe he has that, and better than what we had, because Randy was a generation away from me. I had already had everything. Jarvis knows Odell. So them getting back to grinding, working out together, talking with Baker, building rapport with your teammates. Man, forget about where we're going and everything. Build up those relationships there in Cleveland. Fall back in love with the process of building yourself into a player. And I believe it might not be in the numbers, but I believe in his overall leadership and how he plays football. I believe we're going to see the best Odell that we've seen.
And Jarvis, we saw it in your favorite show, Hard Knocks. Jarvis will hold people accountable.
Oh, yeah.
And if Odell is having a bad day or taking a day off, Jarvis has the relationship with him, the trust with him, the bond, plus the natural personality of, no, I'm going to talk to you about this, and I might do it publicly. What's Odell's biggest challenge? The Browns are going to be under a level of scrutiny almost no player on this team has ever experienced, except for Odell. And can Odell be, not just on the field, but a positive leader for this team, a bunch of guys his age or younger? This is how you deal with the entire national media being here every day. This is how you deal with when one of your teammates gets in trouble, or when there's a bad headline or a bad few weeks of football. Because last year, any win the Browns got was a bonus. Any loss was part of the process. The guys that had been there longer than last year have experienced nothing but losing, where there's no expectations. Browns are the Vegas favorite to win that division, the Vegas favorite to win double-digit games, and there's going to be a lot of outside Cleveland media scrutiny and questions that Odell, in an odd way, is the one most equipped to deal with if he deals with it well, and helping lead Baker along. Because Baker, while he's the leader of the team, Baker is a lot of the things we think are cute and fun from Baker. People can change on those real quick if you have a bad month of football, if you're not winning. And so I think Odell, if he's ready for that aspect of it, that could be a big challenge, but one he's excited to go after.
One interesting note, Odell called LeBron, asked him what he thought about Cleveland, and LeBron basically said, go do your thing. You're going to love Cleveland. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.